My name is Ray, Raymond, but Ray for short, and I volunteered for the draft in 1955 in October. I was called up on the 14th of November. Before I knew it, I was on my way to Camp Chaffee, Arkansas, to start 16 weeks of intensive training on a 105 howitzer. In April of 1956, I boarded a troop ship out of Seattle, Washington, and went to Korea. Checked in and was sent up to a 48th Field Artillery Battalion, Sea Battery, 2 or 3 miles south of DMZ, and that's where I stayed for 16 months. I shipped out in September of '57, and I celebrate my 21st birthday on the ship on the way home. I got back in '57, joined the local VFW 7458, and after some years I was put in as president. I was having coffee with a guy, Frank, and he says to me, he said, "I think we ought to see about getting a memorial put here because they're putting one in Marshall County. Don't you think maybe it would be a good idea?" The more I thought about it, that would be a good idea. This was like in the summer of 2008. Then I decided that I would go ahead and take a tablet and go to each bank. If you are a veteran, would you like to see a Veterans Memorial Park be built to honor all of our veterans from the county? After a couple months, only 2 names signed up. And then I talked to a lady, Linda, and she said, "Ray, go public." The grade school has a program on Main Street to honor veterans on Veterans Day. I was asked to give opening prayer. Later in the program, I had the right opportunity that I was going to go ahead. So I announced that I am going to start to build a memorial. Money come rolling in first week, money come rolling in. By that time, we had about $20,000 in the bank, but no place to build it. If I didn't find an appropriate place, the money was going back to everybody that donated it. Till Ken Domer got to talking to Jerry Moran. I approached the city and they says, "Well, we have an old golf course," but he says, "We can give you some way back on the back." And I said, "No, I want to be where people can see it. I don't want nothing to be hidden back somewhere." A guy by the name of Ken Domer, he lost a uncle in the Second World War, and he was interested in building a memorial to honor his uncle. He came in to see Jerry, and he said, "We got a group of guys up in Nemaha County. They want to build a memorial, and there's a piece of property there the state owns along the highway that is of no use, and they would like to give it." Jerry said, "I'll see what I can do." I got a direct call from the State Highway Department that we will quit claim a spot 50 feet wide by 360 feet long to you, the county, or to the city. I said, "To the city." On the Memorial Day of 2009, there was over 1,000 people there at the dedication. J4 is a guy by the name of Jim Herder. He died here about a year or so ago. He was in the Philippines, and he said, "When you get thirsty and you're looking for water," he said, "you come to the first stream that you see water, and you'll dip down and get a drink, and there might be a dead enemy soldier in the creek right ahead of you. But he said, you take your pill to fight dysentery. You take that and move on. And then you go down to Kenny Dawson. He's another one that was in the Philippines, and he started in Guadalcanal, moving up, and he always told me that there was a lot of island hopping, when they was moving, the Americans were moving north, and they would clean up an island, and they would go, and he was a member of the 25th Division, Marine Division. His division, not necessarily him or what, but they was the one to put the flag up on Mount Suribachi. You go down to Virgil Runabout down there, he's on P10. Virgil is on the wall. He is the guard at the Nuremberg trials, and he guarded Rudolf Hess. And I said to him, I says, Virgil, how in the devil did you get that job? He said, don't ask me. He said, we got called out to parade. And he says, they picked me out. And I said, boy, Virgil, you must have been a heck of a parader that they picked you out to be a guard. And then as we go on around to the silhouettes, you come over there, and the first one is Bernard Schuliounce. Bernard came home on Thanksgiving in 1944, and he left, and he was in Germany at the Battle of the Bulge. They got a call for a squad to go out, and one guy said, I can't go. He said, I got an impacted tooth. And Benny says, I'll go. And well, he gave his life Christmas Eve on 1944. And the next one is Donnie Winkler. Donnie was a medic, and he had to go out, and if there's a soldier wounded out there, he had to go out and prepare him for transportation back to the medical center. Anyway, while he was working on the soldier, he says, would you do me a favor? He said, what's that? He said, I got a ring in my pocket. He said, would you take care of that ring for me? He says, so when I get home to go home, I'm going to give that to my girlfriend. Well, he didn't make it. His daughter has the ring right now because they looked and looked for him and couldn't find him. Then we go on down to Danny Kowalski. He says, we came to this bridge, and the captain says, we're not going across tonight, because we know that the 106th Division is to our right, and it's been pretty well annihilated, and we're not going across because it'd be probably suicide. And anyway, so we set up camp, and in the middle of the night, the captain says, let's go, we're going now. So they got up and got across the river, and then they again set up camp for morning. Daybreak came, and here comes this Jeep driving down the road, and had 106th Division written on the bumper. And they all said, hey, that can't be. So they stopped it, and sure enough, that thing was loaded with dynamite, because they was going to finish taking that brick out, that bridge. Time went on, Danny said, I was in the hospital. And I said, oh, Dan, that's right, you was hurt, wasn't you? He said, yeah. He said, he said, that's one time I was thankful I had a pack of cigarettes and a prayer book in my shirt pocket, because evidently it deflected a bullet enough that saved his life. And they came to him one day, and they says, could you help us? He said, we're having a big impulse or soldiers coming in. And he said, we need help. And so he says, well, we got a young POW that we got back, and he is really thin. We got to talking, and he said, we got a rapport started, And then he asked me one day, he says, what was you in? And he says, well, I was in the 82nd Division. Then he said, what about you? And he said, I was in the 106th Division. And so then he proceeded to tell him about the Jeep. He said, that was my Jeep. They stole it. They got, and he was captured. He told one of his kids that, and this was told by them, that he said, it's hell when you crawl out of a foxhole and you're the only one standing. And he suffered with all of his trauma that he had over the years. And you go down to another one is, it was a destroyer, Eugene Henry. He was at Hawaii when the Arizona was struck. He said, we were across on the other side, his destroyer was. And he says, we never got hit, but we got a lot of shells. And he got hit. And he told me I got shot right through my calf on my leg. And I said, well, then you got a Purple Heart then, didn't you? And he says, nope, they wouldn't give it to me because they didn't know for sure if it was an American bullet or an Australian bullet or a Japanese bullet. So they did not award him a Purple Heart. And that's about the story that I can, and it's been a joy doing it. And I want to hopefully record all this so that generations ahead can listen to what some of our ancestors had done. We got to remember, at least for us locally, if we can do it here, we have to do it. I'm proud to be the carrier of the honor to have built it. And I hope it's here another 100 years to show people what we did.